G'day there, Chris Walker speaking, and I want to talk to you today a little bit about funk and my program, which is about stopping it before it stops you. And let me explain a few things that are really important to understand at the beginning here. Funk is just the beginning of what leads to a major social problem. And a major social problem that we're having is that we've got depression sweeping the world. We've got 35% of Canadian employees in white-collar jobs taking antidepressant drugs. It's the single highest cost of health cover for employees globally for the workplace. It's costing billions of dollars in lost production. It's costing trillions of dollars in social unrest, and it's leading to violence and all sorts of things that we all want to take care of and stop. The thing about depression is once you're there, once that space has happened, the intervention process is very, very red tape. It's drugs, it's officialdom, it's certification. There's a lot of things that go on once you hit depression, and because of the chemistry of depression, it's a really long and laborious process to arrive out of. What I'm interested in is the journey into it and how to arrest the flow before it starts to build momentum. And that's what I'd like to talk to you here about today. The path into depression is a path that nobody thinks they're going to go on. I've had bouts of depression in my life, and I promise you, if anyone ever says to me, am I prone? If you walked into me in the street and said, are you a sort of person who's prone to depression? I'd say absolutely never, not. But I've had them. I know I've had them, and I've sunk into some pretty serious places of depression after certain events. And I think this is an owning up or a witnessing that we all need to make, that we're all vulnerable to this particular problem. And once we're in the problem, we've really lost our power. Once we hit the word depression and we're diagnosed as having it, and I've never had to go on the medication, but man, I've come close. But I know the people who have gone on medication. It's a wonderful thing. It stops the consequences of depression getting out of hand. Again, my interest is in early intervention to work out how to stop this damn thing before it gets out of control. So it works something like this. We have hidden demons, little gremlins in the system, and they're sitting inside us all the time, and we're fearful of certain things. So what happens is we get a little trigger. Something will go on in the day or a week or a month or a year, and it'll trigger us. And that sends us into what I call funk, the funky space. It's not the happy funk, it's the bad funk. And in Australia we call it a downer, having a real downer. And you have it can be anything. It can be not getting a promotion at work. It can be something to do at home. It can be an injury in your sport. You've got an ambition, you get an injury in your sport. It can be some financial struggles. It can be loss of a couple of friends. It can be even overwhelm at work or stress caused by lack of sleep. But there are a multitude of triggers, and I'm going to identify every single one of those triggers so that an individual who's experiencing the early signs of funk can say, it's time to intervene, it's time to stop the funk and fix it before it actually gets me, grab it before it gets control of me, before I react. Now, I work with people. I'm a management consultant, and I teach people about love and consciousness, which is a little bit like Adolf Hitler teaching the piano. But beside all that, the fact of the matter is, I work with the end result of the reaction to funk. So I don't work with up until this time in my working career, I've been working with people who've needed help dealing with the reaction to funk. So what happens when funk comes is we start making some choices. We make choices around relationships, health, finance, social structure, career, mental health, and we start making choices which are not healthy. We start making shorter term and shorter term and shorter term choices. In other words, we start thinking about gratification in the next hour or the next week or the next month, and we don't consider the long-term consequences. The result of this is that funk creates funk, and funk when we start making bad choices, stupid choices lead to stupid outcomes. Garbage in equals garbage out. So when the funk starts to make us react, we start making decisions around our relationships and around our career that are absolutely not in our own best interest. And those decisions lead to consequences, and those consequences aren't what we wanted, and therefore more funk. And this is the cascading effect that we're trying to arrest. So I'm saying catch it before it catches you. Let's see. We've got a trigger. We've got funk. Let's stop it. Instead of entering into the realms of reaction, which will inevitably lead to depression, and then ending up in isolation, the trigger from many undiagnosed depressions is violence. I would say 50% of all crime is done out of a state of downer or depression that's triggered by a long time ago some funk that was never dealt with. Suicides, addiction, divorces, drugs, and mental health, they're all consequences of depressions or emotional downers that have become chemically permanent, permanent. And whether they're treated with antidepressants, which is one way of stopping the flow into the deeper realms of social consequence, or whether the person is in taking drugs or alcohol or having an affair or doing whatever they're doing, or being mischievous in their financial dealings. All of those things lead to the social consequences that we all want to prevent. And the answer to it is not through good mental health, good relationships, good health, good finances, good friends, and good career. They are not the answers. The answer is prevent funk disturbing what's natural. What's natural in the world is for a happy person to be walking around with a great mental health, with a great relation. We don't have to worry about those things. We don't have to worry about focusing on improving relationships and improving health and improving all these other areas if the funk hasn't already got in and started making corruption. So that's my interest. Stop it, catch it. It goes down through the phases, and you might see these in friends. Life's going on nicely, then suddenly there's a disappointment, leads to a stress. That stress leads to funk. That funk leads to more stress. That stress leads to more reactions in other areas of life. When they start reacting in other areas of life, there are side effects. Those side effects cause stresses. Those stresses start causing decisions, and down they go until they get into the deep, where suddenly they say, I have a relationship problem. But the truth of the matter is, it started with a little bit of funk at work about 3 years ago. This is Chris Walker. Have a great day. I hope you follow me on this process. I really do think we have a chance to make a huge impact in the world. I've got the tools and skills to make it happen. I've been doing it for 30 years. I've applied it to myself. I've applied it to thousands of people. I know we can prevent funk causing disaster. Stop it, catch it before it gets too far. Chris Walker. Bye now.